Good evening, friends. Today I'll be taking a chapter on number 1, chemical reactions and equations, meant for CBSE as well as state syllabus, Karnataka. Now let us see the learning outcome of this class, chemical reactions and equations. A complete chemical equation represents the reactants, products and their physical states symbolically. A chemical equation is balanced so that the numbers of atoms of each type involved in a chemical reaction are the same on the reactant and product sides of the equation. Equations must always be balanced. In a combination reaction, two or more substances combine to form a new single substance. Decomposition reactions are opposite to combination reactions. In a decomposition reaction, a single substance decomposes to give two or more substances. Reactions in which heat is given out along with the products are called exothermic reactions. Reactions in which energy is absorbed are known as endothermic reactions. When an element displaces another element from its compound, a displacement reaction occurs. Two different atoms or groups of atoms, that is ions, are exchanged in double displacement reactions. Precipitation reaction produce insoluble salts. Reactions also involve the gain or loss of oxygen or hydrogen by substances. Oxidation is the gain of oxygen or loss of hydrogen. Reduction is the loss of oxygen and gain of hydrogen. Let us see the first clip over here. When do we say that the chemical reaction has taken place? We see that chemical reaction gives a change in state, a change in color, the evolution of gas and change in temperature. Magnesium ribbons burns with a dazzling white flame and changes into a white powder. This powder is magnesium oxide. Solutions of lead nitrate and potassium iodide gives the evolution of hydrogen gas. Addition of zinc granules with acids like sulfuric acid or hydrochloric acid leaves the change in temperature of the system. Then, what is the need of a chemical equation? The description of a chemical reaction in a sentence form is quite long. It can be written in a shorter form. The simplest way to do this is to write it in the form of a word equation. The word equation shows change of reactants to products through arrow placed between them. The arrowhead points towards the products and shows the direction of the reaction. Then, how is the chemical equation written? And what is its skeletal chemical equation? A chemical equations can be made more concise and useful if we use chemical formulae instead of words. A chemical equation represents a chemical reaction. In the reaction between magnesium oxygen and magnesium oxide, the word equation can be written as Mg plus O2, which gives MgO. When compare the number of atoms of each element on the left hand side of the equation and right hand side of the equation through an arrow, the balance of the equation in both sides can be seen and speculated. Such a chemical equation is a skeletal chemical equation for a reaction. Then, what is balanced chemical equation? The total mass of the elements present in the products of a chemical reaction has to be equal to the total mass of the elements present in the reactants. That is, the number of atoms of each element remains the same before and after a chemical reaction. Hence, we need to balance the skeletal chemical equation. Zinc plus sulfuric acid gives a zinc sulphate plus hydrogen. It has been mentioned Zn plus H2SO4 gives you ZnSO4 plus H2 arrowhead upward, which also represents some meaning out of it. Then write the steps involved in writing the balanced equation. Step 1. First, draw boxes around each formula. Step 2. List the number of atoms of different elements present in the unbalanced equation. Step 3. It is convenient to start balancing with the compound that contains the maximum number of atoms. It may be a reactant or a product. Step 4. Start balancing atoms of partly balanced equation. Step 5. Examine the equation and pick the next element which is not balanced. Step 6. Check the correctness of the balanced equation. We count atoms of each element on both sides of the equation. Step 7. Writing the symbols of physical states. Now let us see the balance of a skeletal chemical reaction here. I have on the left hand side ferrous plus water, which is going to give you ferrous oxide plus water. Let me concentrate on the few numbers over here. Fe3O4, where Fe needs 3, so in the left hand side I put 3 Fe. And if you check this H2, I have to put 4 here, so that in the left hand side it becomes 4. And look at the oxygen number over there, which is nothing but 0,4. It got balanced easily. Similarly, you go to H2 plus Cl2, which gives 2HCl. Then 2Na plus 2H2O gives 2NaOH plus H2. Write the balanced chemical equation with state symbols for the following reactions. Solutions of barium chloride and sodium sulphate in water react to give insoluble barium sulphate and the solution of a sodium chloride. You can see the balancing of the reactions, as well as L representing the liquids and S representing the solids. Sodium hydroxide solution in water reacts with hydrochloric acid solution in water again to produce sodium chloride. Solution and water. Here also you see the L's being mentioned. And let us see the types of chemical reactions that we are going to come across in this chapter. The first one, combination reaction. Second, decomposition reaction. Third, displacement reaction. Fourth, double displacement reaction. Fifth, oxidation and reduction. Let us try to explain combination reaction. When two or more substances, that is elements or compounds, combine to form a single product, the reactions are called combination reactions. In the reaction, calcium oxide and water combines to form a single product called calcium hydroxide. What gives the whitewashing of wall a shiny finish? A solution of slaked lime produced by the reaction is used for whitewashing walls. Calcium hydroxide reacts slowly with the carbon dioxide in air to form a thin layer of calcium carbonate on the walls. Calcium carbonate is formed after 2 to 3 days after whitewashing and gives a shiny finish to the walls. Come on, look at this equation here, CaOH twice, which is an aqueous condition, plus carbon dioxide, which is a gas, gives calcium carbonate as solid and water as liquid. The shiny surface can be seen in wall. Then let us see what is exothermic reaction. Reactions in which heat is released along with the formation of products are called exothermic chemical reactions. Burning of natural gas, that is methane as a gas with oxygen as a gas gives carbon dioxide gas plus water as steam over there. Then process of respiration, if you take the glucose plus oxygen gives carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. Decomposition of vegetable matter, in all these cases heat is released. That's why it is exothermic reaction. Then let us try to explain decomposition reaction. In a reaction when a single reactant breaks down to give simpler products is called decomposition reaction. Ferrosulfate crystals lose water when heated and the color of the crystals changes. Then decomposes to ferric oxide. Sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. Ferric oxide is a solid while other oxides are gases. You can see the equation over there, FeSO4 on heating gives Fe2O3 plus SO2 plus SO3, the gases. That means it breaks up into 3. What is thermal decomposition reaction? When a decomposition reaction is carried out by heat, it is called a thermal decomposition. Decomposition of calcium carbonate to calcium oxide and carbon dioxide on heating is an important decomposition reaction used in various industries. Calcium carbonate as solid on heating becomes calcium oxide as solid plus carbon dioxide as gas. Now let us test the lead nitrate for the thermal decomposition reaction. Lead nitrate on thermal decomposition reaction gives out the fumes of nitrogen dioxide along with lead oxide and oxygen. PbNO3 twice as a solid on heating gives a PbO, a solid, plus NO2, a gas, plus oxygen gas. The reaction involved in black and white photography. Silver bromide on exposure to sunlight decomposes silver and bromine. This reaction is used in black and white photography. Silver bromide, that is AgBr, the solid, which is on reflection with sunlight. It turns out to become silver and bromine separately and thereby producing a very fine picture. Then what is endothermic reaction? The reaction in which energy is absorbed is known as endothermic reactions. Exposure of silver bromide to sunlight is an endothermic reaction. Explain displacement reaction. In the reaction, when one of the element is a compound is displaced or removed by another element is called displacement reaction. Let us see a depiction of a displacement reaction with the help of iron in copper sulfate solution. When an iron nail dipped in copper sulfate solution, the iron nail becomes brownish in color and blue color of copper sulfate solution fades out. You can see in these pictures Fe in a solid plus copper sulfate as aqueous and ferrosulfate aqueous plus copper as solid. The zinc and lead are more reactive elements than copper. They displace copper from its compounds. Zinc with copper sulfate removes copper separately, becomes zinc sulfate. Lead with copper chloride removes copper out and becomes lead chloride. Then what is precipitation reaction? Any reaction that produces a precipitate can be called a precipitation reaction. The insoluble substance formed is known as a precipitate. What is double displacement reaction? Such a reaction in which there is an exchange of ions between the reactants are called double displacement reaction. You see here, sodium sulphate we have and barium chloride we have, and it has been changed to barium sulphate with sodium chloride. In both the cases there is an exchange of ions. Here ions of sulphate and chlorine got exchanged, and therefore it is a double displacement reaction. Then what are oxidation and reduction reactions? If a substance gains oxygen during a reaction, it is said to be oxidized. If a substance loses oxygen during a reaction, it is said to be reduction reaction. This type of reaction is also referred as redox reaction. Meaning, in the first one, copper plus oxygen gives copper oxide, which is oxidation. Whereas copper plus hydrogen leaves water, which is reduction. In the oxidation of copper to copper oxide on heating, the surface of copper powder is coated with black copper oxide. This is because oxygen is added to copper and hence copper oxide is formed. If hydrogen gas is passed over this heated material, the black coating on the substance turns brown as the reverse reaction takes place and copper is obtained. Then what is rusting of iron or corrosion, and what is its drawback? The iron articles are shiny when new but get coated with a reddish brown powder when left for some time. This process is commonly called a rusting of iron. When a metal is attacked by moisture, acid, etc., it is said to be corrode, and this process is called corrosion. The black coating on silver and the green coating on copper are other examples of corrosion. Corrosion causes damage to our bodies, bridges, iron railings, ships, and to all objects made of metals, especially those of iron. Then what is rancidity? When fats and oils are oxidized, they become rancid and their smell and taste change. Then what are antioxidants? The substances which prevent oxidation are added to food containing fats and oil are called antioxidants. Nitrogen gases are used as antioxidants in chips manufacturing industry packages to prevent the chips from getting oxidized. Then we come to an end of this chapter. So let me go on through lesson summary. A complete chemical equation represents the reactants, products and their physical states symbolically. A chemical equation is balanced so that the number of atoms of each type involved in a chemical reaction are the same on the reactant and product sides of the equation. Equations must always be balanced. In a combination reaction, two or more substances combine to form a new single substance. Decomposition reactions are opposite to combination reactants. In a decomposition reaction, a single substance decomposes to give two or more substances. Reactions in which heat is given out along with the products are called exothermic reaction. The reaction in which energy is absorbed are known as endothermic reaction. When an element displaces another element from its compound, a displacement reaction occurs. Two different atoms or groups of atoms or ions are exchanged in double displacement reactions. Precipitation reaction produce insoluble salts. Reactions also involve the gain or loss of oxygen or hydrogen by substances. Oxidation is the gain of oxygen or lose of hydrogen. Reduction is the loss of oxygen or gain of hydrogen. And there completes our chapter. And this is Sashi Kumar Anbaragan, Department of Science and Child Counselor and Gandhian Studies, and also the Principal, Sam Park Academy, Bangalore. Thank you very much. if you like this chapter which I have done is good, kindly wait for the second chapter. Thank you very much.